wanted to do it again, and then I caught myself halfway. That's why it's a personal joke. You will not understand it, but when I'm in the right mood, I will share the joke with you, but not today, my people. There's so much happening in Nigeria, and we'll start off with it. Now, one of... it seemed to be celebrated quite a lot in some African country, Traore, that is, of Burkina Faso. And he says no country develops with a democracy. I'm like, what exactly are you on about? I can mention a number of countries that have grown and are doing so great on democratic principles. So his argument is sometimes you need to come in, in kind of like an unconventional way to actually develop your country. Is it doing well for Burkina Faso at the moment? Well, he seemed to be coming up with some ideas, moves, policies, initiatives that is being applauded for. But if that would translate to tangible growth, development, liberty and freedom for the Burkinabes at the end of the day, time will tell. Once upon a time, that country had Thomas Sankara. And even if it felt like on the surface he was amazing, it was the best thing to happen to the country, there were those who, in one little corner felt, oh, you're overstepping your bounds, you're overstepping your grounds. And others will argue that certain colonial powers and interests and imperial interests were also invested to the point where Thomas Sankara was neutralized by Blaise Compaoré, who eventually himself was removed at the end of the day. So it's been quite an interesting one if you follow the history of Burkina Faso. Right now, the military administrator is saying that countries do not develop on a democracy, and it's generated quite a number of debate already. We'll not be debating that this minute because we'll be looking at three big stories in Nigeria, in which I will have Bode Gbadebo join me for that. We're using a different connect for the show today, so I'm trying to see that we are properly connected. But Bode Gbadebo is a journalist with the leadership paper, and he will be our guest analyst to look at some of these big stories. So looking at Plateau State and the unfortunate killing that happened in the state, and it feels like all of a sudden the newspapers and news headlines are washed with killings happening in some parts of the country. I mean, we haven't recovered over the ones happening and the one that happened in Edo and how the governor responded to the several that we're seeing from Ebonyi to Plateau State at the moment, where in Bokos people were killed in their homes. Quite a very sad development. And then we're having Nigerians, at least one of them, Dalong, who is saying that is not a clash, that's terrorism. We'll be getting the perspective of our guest once he joins us for that. We would also be looking at the nationwide protest that held in some states in the country, from Lagos to Abuja to Port Harcourt. And in Abuja, I know that the protesters were dispersed with tear gas. It felt like the police were trying to, have a word with them and have them to reconsider, even though before that, there was some bit of warning from the police to not hold the protest for security reasons. And it's quite interesting how we've come to the point where the police will always discourage any form of either civic gathering or protest or movement or rally of any sort. Well, we'll be talking about that, and would also look at a third story which got quite a number. Okay, my guest has joined us talking, which is about the Trump tariff and what was slammed on Nigeria. The federal government seemed to think, through the Ministry of Trade, says that it will be bad for Nigerian exporters. So what then do we do about it? We're talking about these and more in a bit. Please stick around. My guest will join us in a bit. Oh, yeah. My name? Oh, I'm Kimberly. That's what they call me. Let me sound like SWAT for 1 second. Call me Kim, the Oracle, the Digital Oracle, OTF, the Fellow, Chanyawa, Madam Speaker, and I will say yes to them all.
place where you can get it all trending.
People are dropping on their vehicle and running, leaving their vehicle.
A place where you can air your views.
I want to report the situation.
Only on your number one station for talk.
This is not the way. We cannot continue like this.
95.1 Nigeria.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
Stay in human form. Body man, nobody like work, but you must hustle if you.
On the other end, I'm excited to say that I have Mr. Bode Badebo joining me for the Big Three this afternoon. Bode, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Fine, Kim. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Abuja.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate your patience. So let's get started with the first story, the unfortunate development coming out of Plateau State. And, you know, for a lot of people, it's a little curious because it feels like we've been dealing with reports of either killings of some sort going on. Last week, we're talking about Edo State, and then we had the Enugu one that happened, or the Ebonyi one that happened, and then we're having the one that is happening at the moment in Plateau State, Bokos, where villages were invaded and people were killed at the end of the day. Quite a number, over 10. A lot of reports are talking about 16 and more at this point in time. I was listening to an interview in which a former minister spoke, where he said Dalong, that is, and he's saying this has gone beyond farmer headers clash to terrorism at this point in time. And I know he's from the state, a lot of sentiment at this point in time. The government has said they are going to do everything within their capacity to end this cycle of violence going on in the state. But we've heard that before. and it still persists. You have some graveyard peace for a while, and then it will rear its head again. It feels like it's impossible to find a lasting solution, but I pretty much doubt the impossibility around it. It's a lack of the will, ingenuity to solving the problem going on in Plateau State, or what other dimensions or direction do we need to take? But first, what's your take on this latest coming from Plateau State, Body?
Hello, Kim.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please, I will need you to just repeat the last part of the question.
Your take.
I was actually struggling to hear very well.
Oh dear, sorry about that. But I just wanted your opinion on the latest happening in Plateau State. Plateau State has just always been an epicenter of ethno-religious conflict over time. And it feels like every other year there's something major going on. There's been some quiet for a while, nothing big in the news for a while, until this recent one with, horrific videos and pictures emerging as to the level of the horror. And then we're seeing someone says it has gone beyond the clash to terrorism. Why aren't we looking at it from that perspective? Or is it just stoking sentiment by referring to it as terrorism at this point in time?
Yeah, I think good afternoon once again to our Abuja listeners. The happenings in Plateau in the last few days actually can be described as a terrorism. It's terrorism because if people were sleeping in their homes, they were not expecting any form of attack because they didn't offend anyone, and suddenly some marauders showed up, maimed them, killed them, and none of their belongings were taken away. There is no better way to define terrorism. It's terrorism. But it's no longer disturbing. What is now disturbing is the penchant by the government to just issue a statement to condemn these crimes. You just condemn this crime and move away. And then you wait for the next one to happen. So thereby reducing precious lives to mere statistics. We just, like we do in the media, we just say 2 killed in Plateau, next tomorrow 10 killed in Kogi. That's barbaric. So it's high time for the government to actually think out of the box, roll up its sleeves, and get to work on how to get to the root causes of these killings and put a stop to the killings. It is no longer fashionable to say it's the usual harder farmers clash. No. That's not correct, because no livestock was rushed through, nobody's farm was destroyed, so we should have to do away with that and call a spade in order to actually get to the root cause of the matter. So government needs to come clean as to why this is happening and why it has remained intractable.
Now, when you say government needs to come in, the government has been in from the jump. I mean, I have seen several governors and several presidents where we've had a major breakdown of law and order, either in the state or a conflict of this nature that has claimed life. I was talking with a friend, a few hours before I came in. I said I was in Jos during Dogo Nahawa, and it was so bloody, it was so bad, and how people came on the street and promises were made by the government of the day back then, but it still persists. And we've seen 3 administrations between then and now, and it's just been words and some action that has not translated into a permanent solution just yet. So at this point, you really start to wonder, at this point, what else can the government do in this instance?
Like I begged you earlier, I'm very sorry. So I'm straining my ears to actually hear you clearly.
Oh dear.
But I had the background. Just the last part of your question, I will need to hear clearly again before I can.
I was trying to say, what other tactic or approach can the government bring to this? Is it by labeling what is going on there as terrorism, profiling individuals or characters involved as terrorism? Because this is still, I know that during Buhari's administration, he wanted it to look, and the narrative of the government then was farmer herders conflict. And it was so polarized that it was Fulani versus the other Nigerians. An ethnic group was, even itself seemed to have been profiled as being killers based on the antic of a few people. The government over time has shied away from looking at it from that lens, even if it's what a lot of Nigerians are saying, perhaps for political reasons or not to maybe endanger a section of the country at this point in time. So you start to really wonder, what other approach can we employ? Because you've looked at bringing religious leaders, traditional leaders to the fore, and every now and again, this thing still raises its head.
It's not even a religious issue any longer, even though it's turning to religious already. It's pure genocidal, But then, labeling the issue appropriately is a good step, and is a first step to helping us to solve the problem. Like in medical terms, what they call diagnosis. When you want to solve a medical problem, you first diagnose. When you diagnose, you know the real issue, then you look for the right, antidote to apply or drug to apply. So in this case, the government, like I said, need to come clean by actually calling a spade a spade. This is what is the problem, and how do we solve the problem? Then you move after the perpetrators. It is beyond issuing statement to condemn. That was what we experienced in the whole of 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari administration. Press statements condemning atrocities of marauders, terrorists, and the rest of them. And none was ever arrested, none was ever, put on trial to account for his action. So we can also afford to start to do that under a President Tinubu who promised an improved version of governance over Muhammadu Buhari's version. So they need to tell us the real thing by saying, okay, this is what is happening and how to go about it. Let me give you an example why I said they need to come clean.
Okay.
A few days ago, the NSA, you recall that the NSA handed over some kidnapped victims to their family. He reunited them with their families. One of them was a retired army officer who happened to be a former Director General of the National Youth Service Corps,
yeah.
Brigadier General Maharazu Siga. In that group, there was another senior diplomat, a former diplomat, who was also kidnapped somewhere in Kaduna State. Now, you ask yourself, what is the motive behind people, whose releases from kidnappers were negotiated by ransom payment or by whatever means? Now, the NSA will now come to Abuja. Somebody was rescued somewhere in the bush of Zamfara. They had to fly him to Abuja for the NSA to do a photo ops so that his family, all these things to show that they are winning war against kidnapping and terrorism. Now, you don't ask yourself, if these people were actually rescued, it's a good news. So where are the kidnappers? If you're able to take the fight to them in their den to rescue them, then where are the kidnappers? Or, okay, if you are able to pay ransom to bring them out from captivity, let Nigerians know, then that does not mean you are winning. It means we are just using our money to actually fuel violence economy. We are making the criminals to be richer in the bush, and we are emboldening them to continue to perpetrate their crimes. So beyond the photo ops by the NSA. So this is why the government is not actually coming clean. The same NSA was in Plateau yesterday. He visited the headquarters of the Operation Safe Haven, the military, special operation in charge of special operation in Bauchi, part of Bauchi, Kaduna, and Plateau State. Yeah. And he told them government is doing something about the Plateau crisis. Now, beyond the rhetorics, what are these things? But they will tell you, no, security matters are not supposed to be disclosed in public. That's correct, that you don't say security matters in public. But then, people get killed every hour, every day, every week. Is that how we're going to continue? Certainly no. So we are not telling ourselves the truth. And it will just continue to be a merry-go-round thing. That, it's become a vicious cycle. It happened under a Jonathan, terrorism. It happened under a Buhari. Then it's happening under a Tinubu. So maybe probably, God forbid, another government will come and now say, we are used to it. There must be a break to that cycle. That vicious cycle must be broken. So somebody somewhere must tell us the truth. Somebody somewhere must be sincere. Somebody somewhere must get to job and make sure that this situation is not to make money. This situation is actually to keep Nigeria safe, and Nigeria safe as well.
All right, for those who don't know, on Thursday, the Bokos said Cultural Development Council said suspected bandit killed over 10 people in the air jail on Wednesday night. On Saturday, the death toll reportedly rose to 52. The attack came 7 days after some gunmen attacked the Ruwi community in Bokos local government area as mourners gathered in the home of a deceased. Speaking on Monday when he appeared on a TV program, Dalong said there is more to the latest killing than meets the eyes. On major issues on the plateau is misleading criminals based on ethnic identity or community relations. He said the violence here isn't a farmer-herders conflict, it's terrorism. This group have an enclave similar to those in the northeast where they steal cattle, seize land and establish a parallel government in the bush. The former Vice President Atiku Abubakar had blamed the killing on the alleged failure of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's architecture. The failure of Tinubu's security architecture has now become an endemic nationwide phenomenon with reputed killing, more of which do not even make the headlines. Atiku advised Tinubu to reconfigure the national security architecture in a bid to protect the lives and property of Nigeria. Well, what does it mean to reconfigure? I know over time and in the heat of it, particularly with Buhari's administration, we said restructure the security architecture, reconfigure it. And then last minute, there was some change of security chiefs. What by any chance, do you understand what it means by reconfigure the national security architecture?
Kim, this is not a rocket science. Literally, when you are asked to reconfigure something, you are just asked to rejig, reshape. You know what that means. Now, why is that necessary in this circumstance?
But before you build on why it's absolutely necessary, let's take this very quick commercial break. Stay with us, please.
Everyone says I'm.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
Is if you are doing something over and over again without getting a desired result, that tells you there's a need for you to have a change in strategy, in method, in process, whatever it takes, there's a need for a change. So when they say the president should reconfigure his security architecture, it means put right people in right places. The right people must be in right places as far as the security architecture is concerned. And again, if we don't have the right hardwires, provide them for our troops to overcome security challenges. If we don't have enough, provide them. So all these gamut means you are doing the right thing and you are reconfiguring or you are rejigging your security architecture. Yes, it's beyond our understanding as laymen, but literally, of course, it's not rocket science. You are asked to reconfigure means you are not getting results with what you have presently. Change tactics, change method, change system, change process. If need be, change persons at the ends of affair of the security apparatuses. Change them to get results. But then, we can stand a lot in this country because a lot of things are done because of political patronage, not based on merit. So probably we might be grandstanding because, this person contributed to my election. I can't just remove him from his position. He has paid his due. Let's just continue to manage him at the expense of the lives of Nigerians. But you don't get to see that in advanced countries where merit is above, any other mundane considerations. So I think the earlier the better for us. If the president is able to listen, there is a need for him to do something different from what he has done in almost last 1 year. That is not giving us enough or the desired results.
All right. Well, the president has said he would do anything possible within his capacity to effect that change. Let's see what it is then they intend to do different from what's been done in the past. Let's look at another story quickly before we get to open up the phone lines. Nationwide protest over quite a number of issues, from Cybercrime Act to hardship and to the state of emergency in Rivers State. From Lagos State to Abuja to Port Harcourt, we're seeing quite a number of gatherings of Nigerians protesting one aspect of the government or the other. Now, the nationwide protest led by Take It Back movement, another civil society organization, commenced today. The demonstration we kicked off 7th of April 2025 is aimed at drawing attention to the alleged misuse of the Cybercrime Act, the worsening economic hardship in the country, and what organizers have described as a state of emergency in Rivers State. Protesters gathered in the nation's capital wielding placards with various inscriptions such as "Stop the Repression" and "Let Us Breathe." Human rights activist Omoyele Sowore was cited at the protest ground, lending support to the cause. In a statement issued on Friday, TIB National Coordinator Junwon said the protest was necessary to resist what he called the increasing authoritarianism of the government and to demand relief for Nigerians amid biting inflation and insecurity. And we saw this in Abuja, in Lagos, in Rivers State also, where it was basically about the state of emergency situation in the state. They were dispersed with tear gas at the end of the day, which also raises the brow as to, is a protest, albeit a peaceful one, a crime in Nigeria at the moment, or just not the right time for a gathering of more than 2 or 3 Nigerians to raise their voices against the state of the economy and the governance of the country? Hello, buddy, are you still here? Oh dear, I hope we're not having connection issues. I think we are a bit, because I can't seem to hear Buddy at this point in time. So while we're still trying to sort that one out. Okay, Buddy, can you hear me? I see you speaking, but we can't hear you.
I can hear you now.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I can hear you.
Go ahead. So
I need to repeat
the nationwide protest that we've seen, and in Abuja, the fact that they were dispersed with tear gas, there was no report of it degenerating into a violent protest, but it just felt like the gathering was just not approved by the police, because days before now, they've been discouraged from that protest. And it takes our mind to Kogi State also, where a senator, though suspended, was also discouraged from a protest, from a rally and gathering due to security reasons and all of that. But it seemingly went well at that point in time. So this particular one, the fact that tear gas were used, is this a sign to say protests no longer allowed, even though the law of the land permits it? But from the perspective of the police, it feels like there's some bit of hostility to Nigerians gathering. Are they speaking for the government?
Yeah, I think it's a manifestation that the Nigerian police force is intolerant to protest, or is just intolerant to civil actions. Because I don't know why a mere protest should become an headache for the Nigerian police force. It wasn't a revolution, It wasn't a protest to cause mayhem or to actually cause unrest in parts of the country. It was not instantaneous. It was planned. Before now, the Take It Back movement, led by Omoyele Sowore, announced that it will be using the same April 7, marked by the federal government as the National Police Day, to also drive home its own message to the Nigerian police force. And what are the message? Talking about alleged violation of the Cybercrime Act by the Nigerian police force. Also, state of the nation, the economic hardship. Now, there is no big deal using the same day to protest about these issues, because where the police have earmarked to actually celebrate their National Police Day is not the same as it's not the same as the same point as where the Take It Back movement have also organized their own rallies and protests. That's, in fact, if police have allowed this to happen, that should have shown the beauty of the Nigerian society and tolerance on the part of the Nigerian police force. But then they said Leopard actually don't.
Well, is this really about the police? Is this about the police and their day, or about the government that is intolerant to this form of gatherings and protestation by Nigerians at this point in time?
The police is an important extension of the federal government. So if I say it's about the police, it's also about the government of the day. The police is an important part of the government of the day. So whatever you see the police doing, it's not by mistake. It's a reflection of the beliefs, perceptions of the government of the day. For example, look at what happened in the last few days about the Kano Emirates. The police hierarchy in Abuja summoned the 16th Emir of Kano to come and explain himself about a possession in Kano State that led to the death of a vigilante member. The same Kano State where you have a command headed by a police commissioner with a state investigation department, SCID, domicile. You now have to bring us the matter up to Abuja. Then after the outcry and the attendance, embarrassment, I believe now we changed. That is kind of the Nigerian police we have. And with that kind of action by the Nigerian police, many Omoyele Sowore will continue what they are doing. Omoyele Sowore will continue to taunt the police. He will continue to criticize the police for this kind of actions. So I think it's better for the police to actually have a rethink and imbibe practices that are in tune with international best practices. So that civil society organization will become its friends, unlike the cat and mouse game we have currently.
Is this happening because Omo Sowore is involved? Omoyele Sowore is involved. He's just always been an interesting character when it comes to Nigeria. A politician who tried to run for office himself and an activist. Exactly. And it just feels like you can't mix the two in Nigeria. It's either here or there. You can't be the both of them at once. You stand as a politician, or you stand as that, voice in the wilderness crying for liberation and justice of the people. Perhaps Omo Sowore coming and trying to act the two script is the reason why every protest that he's a face of or affiliated with is greeted with some bit of hostility.
I think it's unfortunate I didn't hear that last part very well. I don't know why the network is like that.
Okay. I would say it's the reason why they're being tear gassed at this point, because there's a Sowore as a part of it or leading the protest at this point, because he's a politician, he's an activist, and all of that.
Probably if the protest were to be led by another person, they would do the same thing. But thank God you brought up the issue of tear gas again. Very, very embarrassing. It shows the height of high-handedness on the part of Nigerian police. Using tear gas and other, very, very harsh tactics to disperse the protesters who did not constitute harm or threat whatsoever to law-abiding citizens. So even police events, as far as the National Police Day celebration was concerned, so unnecessary. But then, unknown to us, we might think we are doing this to an Omoyele Sowore or is a Take It Back movement people. No, we are doing this to our international image. The world is watching. So the earlier we think, the better for the country. I'm talking to the Nigerian police force.
All right. Hafsat Muazu on YouTube. Just so you know, we're live on YouTube and Facebook at Nigeria Info Abuja on YouTube, at Nigeria Info Abuja on Facebook. And yes, you can tweet at us at Nigeria Info ABJ. We're on X, and I'll be reading as many of your comments as you tweet them on X during the course of the conversation. Hafsat Muazu says, good afternoon, Kim, and good afternoon to Bode. It's sad from Jos. We are urging for quick intervention, please. And for the protest, I don't think it's a good idea. Let's say save our lives and our properties. Not a good idea to go out and protest outside. Is that what you're saying? Or not a good idea to be tear gassed when you do go outside to register your grievances with the government? I need to get clarification from you. And then we'll just look at one more story quickly before we throw open the phone lines. The federal government has acknowledged that several of Nigeria's oil and non-oil exports are set to face adverse effect due to the newly imposed tariff by U.S. President Donald Trump on Nigerian exports. This tariff, which is expected to disrupt trade relations, could potentially weaken the competitiveness of Nigerian products in the U.S. market. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Duwole, admitted in a statement sent to correspondents. The minister, in a personally signed statement on Sunday, provided the government first response 3 days after the announcement. Recall that Donald Trump had announced a decision widely condemned by European Union and exporting nations that countries seeking to sell goods to the United States would now face taxes as high as 50%. Case of Lesotho and China that we see. Economic experts in separate interviews explained that the policy would raise the prices of goods and services for consumers, weaken the standard of living, slow down manufacturing activities, hinder international trade, and consequently weaken demand for Nigerian oil in the U.S., and which is one of the key markets. And according to the minister, Nigerians' exports to the United States have averaged $5 to $6 billion annually in the last 2 years. The announcement made during the Make America Wealthy Again event in the Rose Garden marked a dramatic shift from decade of free trade orthodoxy that has underpinned the global economy since World War II. And responding to the development, the minister noted that the new tariff on key categories could negatively affect the competitiveness of Nigerian goods in the U.S. market, destabilize businesses in the non-oil sector, affecting both price competitiveness and market access. And did say quite a whole lot as to what impact it will make. But, you know, what are we to do about it? Because it's not as if the product from the U.S. market comes into Nigeria zero tariffed. We do impose tariff also, and ours is equally steep. And the U.S. is saying it's time for reciprocity. You do me, I do you. The countries that had 10% for them, they gave them 10%. The countries that were higher, I think, I'm not sure how he did the calculation, but then he's saying this is fair enough, and we're reciprocating and ensuring that we also grow our business, grow our industries, and not have you dump things in our market and you know, we can do the same with yours at this point in time. So what can we do at this point in time to better our lot in Nigeria if the government itself has identified that it might pose a challenge for our export?
All right, Kim, you know, thank God, you know, I'm not a trade expert. I'm not an economist. I'm just a journalist.
I will get the expert in eventually. Go ahead, sir.
It's not a rocket science, true. You know, in my language, there is this popular saying that no matter how close you are with someone, when you are too close as friends, so in one way or the other, your lives we interdepend on each other.
Yeah.
That you should always also make provision for the day of disagreement. So in case there is a sudden disagreement, you have what you fall back on. Nothing will be missing in your life. So no matter how close you are in a relationship, there must be this buffer. You must create a buffer that one day there will be fight. So what do you do? Now in this case, Trump has come with his government of tariffs. What I call government of tariffs.
Yeah.
Now almost every country in the world is affected. China, Canada, US, everybody in Africa, Asia, and the rest, you know. Now, Nigeria has been slammed to 14% tariffs on our exports. But then, for me, we are exaggerating the issue. Because the exports to be impacted largely are less than 10% of our export to US. They say about 90% are oil. Then the non-oil is less than 10%,
10%,
which will be impacted. So what are we talking about? Assuming they are even the 90%, what do? You think out of the box. If this person says no longer your friend, look for new friends. So we must actually increase our trade diplomacy. by expanding our market access beyond the US markets. US is not the only country in the world, so we must expand our market access. We must find alternative markets for our goods, especially the non-oil exports, where they will be embraced and patronized with high returns for our exporters. Now, they are bound to lose comparative advantage because of these tariffs. And that's why the market access must be expanded so that this good that we can no longer sell in the US can be exported elsewhere. We make our returns. So we have experts in the Foreign Affairs Ministry, in the Trade and Investment Ministries. I believe as we speak, they are not resting on their hours. They are doing something to see how will Nigeria navigate out of this Trump tariff conundrum so that our goods we are exporting do not suffer. Businessmen will not lose. Our foreign exchange drive will not be impacted. So for me, it's a very simple thing. We have to expand our market access beyond the US. Then number two, intra-African trade.
Perhaps this is the opportunity.
Must be encouraged.
Yeah, exactly.
You said?
I said this is the opportunity for Africa to do business with itself a lot more.
The African trade must be encouraged. We talk about after all the time, the Africa Free Trade Agreement area. For how many years now? Implementation has been a problem. Member countries are not on the same page. Now, Trump has threw up a challenge for them to actually sit together at a round table, come together, agree on how to implement after agreement in order to deepen intra-African trade. Because that's the only way out for African countries. Without this, we continue to be at the mercy of the US. And no sovereign nation will want to be at the mercy of another equally sovereign nation. So all this also revolves around our foreign policy trusts. Even though as we speak, we don't even know where we are heading. We don't even know our direction. I mean, as far as President Tinubu administration is concerned, but they will tell you, oh, the foreign policy is also encapsulated in the renewed hope agenda of the president. But whatever it is, they know what we are talking about. For more than 1 year or so.
No ambassadors in several countries,
ambassadors. Thank you. How do you market your country? They will tell you afterward there are the foreign missions have staff. There are career diplomats there. They are working. They are doing this. They are doing that. You can't rely on them 100%. Not because they are not reliable. No. You need a chief marketer. A chief marketer to be dealt with by the countries in the Committee of Nations. So the inter-African trade must be deepened. The after agreement must be implemented, and the time is now. I believe with this, if we expand market access for our goods beyond beyond America, then inside Africa, let's patronize each other. Let's leverage on our comparative advantage to deepen intra-African trade. I tell you, we navigate around this Trump tariff conundrum. But without that, I will tell you, we continue to be at the mercy of America. And it's good that the federal government has actually quickly came out to say, this is what we are doing because these are the challenges we are going to face because of Trump's decision, and we are going to do this. I think that is very, very commendable on the part of the Minister for Trade and Investment, Mrs. Oduwole. That is a good one. So with this, I believe we can navigate around the challenge.
All right, then. Well, let's open up the phone lines and get feedback from our listener, what they make of our conversation and the three big stories we looked at today, where from Plateau State to the nationwide protest, and then what impact the tariff would have on export, Nigerian exports, that is. A lot of countries have already been responding, reacting to it already, and it's left for us to see what Nigeria intends to do. Call me up on 0700 951 0000 or 0809 5974869. Our advice, you go straight to the point. We're giving you 60 seconds only to make your contribution, so please just go straight to it. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Nigeria Info.
Yes, you're welcome. Let me confirm that my guest can hear you. All right. Can you please hold on? I just want to confirm from my guest. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear very loud and clear.
All right, then go ahead.
Okay. I just want to speak on the security aspect of it.
Go ahead, sir.
The killing in Jos did not start from today. It started right from the time of Buhari. Until this moment, the killing is still going on. So remember the comment that Tinubu made when he was taking over the government. He said he will start from where Buhari stopped. So the killing might not stop now unless if drastic action is taken. Now, I want to draw attention to what is happening presently in Lugbe. Last week, Thursday.
Can you just summarize it, sir, because of time?
Yeah. Let me just summarize it. These boys, the Fulani boys in Lugbe from ShopRite, they were carrying machetes, cutlasses till the end of Lugbe there.
Right.
By Friday evening, they went to Gosa Market and attacked many people in that Gosa Market. And tomorrow now, when those boys in Gosa Market that are selling things there, when they started defending themselves, now you see police there. So please.
All right. I hope the case has been reported to the police and identify the people truly involved in all of this. Thank you very much for bringing this up, and I hope communities respond by telling the police. Hello.
I hope all those stuff where they talk not to my minute.
It's already a part of it, sir. Go ahead.
You see, police is not going to identify anybody. Now, me tell you, as long as Nafula people, they will tell you they are on top of the matter. And that's all. But if it is innocent people that attack them, they will identify them. You see? That is the case of Nigeria anyway. I don't know why.
Are you saying this based on reason? Because, we've had this narrative for a long time, and perhaps that's the reason why it's very complicated. Because you came out and said because they are Fulani people, and that's an entire ethnic group. It's not just the criminals who are perpetrating this.
Yes, Kim, ever since the Fulani has been killing people, destroying. Okay, look at what is going on in Jos. It's not today. And I like the last call. I say, Tinubu never promised Nigeria. I say he's going to continue from where Buhari stopped. Maybe positive continuation or negative. But we end up seeing that the continuation is totally negative one.
All right.
Because the economy is improving, nothing is working.
All right. Thank you very much, Elder. I appreciate that. Yes. Do we have complaint of herders who have the Fulani extraction over the years committing some of these atrocities? That's a statement of fact. But we can't generalize for an entire ethnic group. Hello.
Yes, we can't generalize that, but the government must do the needful when it comes to this insecurity. Just like what Master Bode say, when they ever rescue someone as they rescue General that we see them celebrating here, they don't tell Nigeria what happened. Are these people spirit? They will come to the community and kill 50, 100. You made mention of Dogonawa. I remember that time of Dogonawa. The camp massacre that took place that time, and they couldn't get anybody arrested. And with all this, that is how all this keep reoccurring. I would say today victims are yesterday survivor, and tomorrow victims are today survivor. Because you are in power today, it doesn't mean that you remain in power forever. Government must do the needful when it comes to this insecurity. It's so alarming. Look at Lukorawa killing people in Sokoto and other parts of the country. Benue, Kaduna and other parts of the country.
All right.
Nagodi.
Thank you very much, sir. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Kim.
You're welcome, sir. Go ahead. 60 seconds.
Mr. Fire comes from my camera. I want to talk from the security angle. Sister Kim, unless we stop our leaders and we ourselves, we stop lying to ourselves. Whether Fulani or whether not be Fulani, unless we stop lying to ourselves. The young Fulanis that are carrying cutlass, what are the parents teaching them in this present day Nigeria? When we were growing up, as soon as we are leaving the domain, our parents would say, don't look for trouble, don't be who you are. I don't know what people lie a lot nowadays. even in this platform, people lie.
All right. In summary, sir.
No, they lie about it. And people are killing each other. They lie about it. They say it's our people. It is this. Just like she was saying yesterday, advise your people not to do banditry, not to do terrorism.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. You've made your point. 60 seconds, please. Just go straight to it. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Yeah, my name is Abubakar.
Go ahead, sir.
Calling from Lagos.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I want to comment on this issue of Donald Trump Paris Blue. I think this issue of this Paris that Trump is imposing on country, not especially the one imposed on Nigeria, is one of where the U.S. economy into inflation. It's just a matter of time. The oil produced in America the refineries cannot even use it without importing fuel. Cobalt from Nigeria now, maybe like 30 hours. So for you to impose that tariff on us, we don't. I think Nigeria will survive. We can survive this tariff. But I promise you that the American will go into recession. It's just a matter of time.
All right. Thank you very much. Hello.
Hello, Madam Speaker.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. Comrade Abubakar calling from Gagolada.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Issue of insecurity and the killing in Plateau State is quite very unfortunate. To me, what the government needs to do, they have to give more power to the state governor in terms of security. There should not be a chief security officer for just some out of formality. Let the needful should be done so that people could be well taken care of in terms of security. An issue of tariff increase in the U.S. by the U.S. president, believe me, it's a wake-up call. It's not something that is supposed to bother or having a panicking around it. Because we need to do the needful and come up as a nation. We have what it takes to take care of ourselves. We cannot keep deceiving ourselves in formality of like last year, where a Minister of Agriculture or some state governor clearing ground and pulling the picture around that they are going to farm social crops.
All right,
and
sir.
At the end of the day, this year now, what we see.
All right, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Hello. Let's take this, read 2 comments, and then get reaction from our guest as we wrap up. Hello. Yes, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. It's Aluta Senator Obasanjo calling you from Niger, the main city of the Niger State.
Go ahead. You've got a minute.
Yeah, I can hear. Everybody is talking about the situation in the country, like the bandit, the herdsmen. Everybody has become a header today. And even in the political, what is happening in the politics, everybody has become, the presidency has become headers today. As far as in a democratic era, we are causing a lot of a problem if the suspension of an elected governor will come for 6 months. Then he does not allow people to do the right thing to do. If a senator will be suspended for 6 months,
all
what
right.
do you want people to tell me? How classify me with the bandit? What
all
does
right.
it happen if people will be killed in Uromi?
All right.
People will be born in Uromi. What is?
Thank you very much. You've made your point. We understand where you're headed. On Plateau and Lakrawa, Kili, Nigerian government should beam the searchlight on international sponsorship. The other time, a U.S. congressman told us about the activities of USAID in Nigeria. Similarly, Niger president made a revelation on France's connection with Lakrawa camp in Aboshis, attributing the killings to farmer headers crisis, Fulani herdsmen, bandits, and unknown gunmen. Religious or tribal factor is diversionary. Plateau State governor has attributed the killing to conflict merchants. I believe there is international sponsorship and our security needs to look at that, says Yusuf in Wuse Zone 2. And good afternoon to our guest. Mr. President and his team should be serious about protecting the lives and property of the citizens of the country from the hands of these marauding murderers. And what Atiku is saying is about politics. You see some of these opposition figures, they're only saying what they're saying just to heat up the polity. They don't really mean what they're saying. Give them the opportunity end, you will be equally surprised. Hailing the oracle, true democracy may not really be developing countries, enabling countries to develop. Democracy is a lot of luxury, very expensive and time wasting. Well, that's a question I threw out just before we started. But can we get your thoughts before we wrap up? Hello, Mr. Bode.
Yes, I'm here with you.
Go ahead.
I'm with you.
Go ahead. We've got about a minute, 30 seconds.
So for me, it's high time we drop the appellation harassment in every, crime-related incident in order not to becloud our judgment, to be able to get to the root cause of this killing. We need to do that because as we speak now, even in Benue, they are still claiming harassment. And my own understanding of the harassman is the man who tends to harass. So why should I leave my livestock unattended to and take to killing? Yes, there used to be clashes between herdsmen and farmers over control for water, land, crops, and the rest of them. But things are changing. Some persons are actually masquerading as herdsmen to unleash terror on innocent Nigerians. And in order not for them to succeed, Nigerian government cannot afford to remain docile. It needs to get to work to get to the root of the matter and stop the killings of innocent Nigerians.
All right, stop the killings of innocent Nigeria. Thank you for lending your voice to this, Bode Gbadebo. We truly appreciate and look forward to having you back again.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, King.
Thank you very much. Bode Gbadebo has been our guest. He's a journalist and political analyst. It's time for us to join Joy Eberebe for the news at the top of the hour. Stay with us.
Of Abuja is not on the surface.
All at your fingertips on your Let's Talk station.
95.1 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.